Hey guys, I'm Evan. Welcome to Country View Acres. As you can see, it's pretty cloudy today. We've had rain the last couple days. In fact, we even got hail a couple times. And I was able to even find a couple big pieces of hail. It sounded like golf balls were hitting the roof of the house. But I don't think we got any damage. But it does look like it's going to rain the next couple days as well. So probably a pretty good time to see if we can do some work inside the shop. And I ended up getting a new tool today, so timing couldn't be more perfect. So in this crate, I've got like the perfect tool that goes with the CNC plasma cutter, or really the perfect tool for anybody who's doing a bunch of sheet metal work. So let's go ahead, we'll get this busted open, we'll get it all put together, I'll show you what it is. Oh, that's got to be one of the easiest crates I've opened. I thought I was going to have to bust this all apart. So this here is a sheet metal brake. It's made for bending sheet metal, and it is made by MechMaxx. And this is a 48-inch sheet metal brake. It can bend up to 12 gauge, and it can bend 12 gauge full length all the way across, and it can bend up to 135-degree angle. So if you guys aren't familiar with MechMaxx, you know I watch Farmer Tyler Ranch all the time. So he got his 8-foot disc mower that he cuts hay with. He got that through MechMaxx. He also got a metal lathe through MechMaxx. They make several different types of equipment. And then Lucas, another friend of mine over at Peaks Peak Hobby Homestead, he's been running MechMaxx equipment for over a year now, has several pieces, and I know he's happy with their equipment as well. So I did reach out to these guys, and they were kind enough to supply this so they can demonstrate it on the channel. So let's go ahead, we'll get this all put together, and then I'll show you how we're gonna use it. So I think these are the legs or the feet. Looks like we got some handles. These right there, these are like weights, they're like a counterbalance. It'll help you bend it a little easier. So it looks like the main part of the brake here is bolted to this metal frame. So we'll get it unbolted, and then I will probably try to hoist it up with the tractor. I was trying to figure out the best way to lift this up. So this piece kind of pivots here. This is all movable here on the top. I think the best thing to do is try to get around the base, but then you're going to be picking it up pretty low. So I was able to get the legs bolted onto the brake. No issues there. I just forgot to hit record on the camera. But at least now we can set it down on the floor. All right, we got the sheet metal brake standing on its own 2 feet. Looks like we just got, I think, 6 pieces left here to mount on here. And then we'll have to figure out where we're going to put this thing. Now I'll go ahead and install these counterbalances. Sound like you got like sand on the inside. They probably put that in there to give it some weight. Well, I can't get the bolts to start. I think they got some paint in there. Yeah, you can see there's blue paint inside of that hole, and that's why I can't get this to start. Luckily, I found the right size tap to clean out these threads. I think I've shown this before. This is from Irwin. It's got a square chuck in there, so it's made to chuck up to these taps. So I get my tap put in there, and then the other side is like a 3/8 socket. All right, we'll try to do this again. Looks good. All right, I've got one piece left to install, and this bent end attaches to the front where it bends the metal, and then you have an adjustable stop on here so that you can have repeatable bends. Trick is, see if we get both of these in at the same time. Might need a little persuasion. All right, got it all put together now, and I think I want to go ahead and lift this up one more time. I want to put it back a little bit further. Now, this isn't going to be its final spot. I'm going to have to do a little bit of rearranging in here before this actually gets a home. Whoa! You don't have it up all right, I guess. Well, this thing's definitely built heavy because I tried to just scoot this around to try to straighten it up. I couldn't get it to budge at all. So yeah, I don't think there's any reason to bolt it to the floor because it ain't gonna move. Now, I've been looking for one of these for a while. I've actually bid on some of these box pan brakes on like auction sites. I've never won one. But yeah, as long as it's like 12 gauge or thinner metal, I'll be able to bend it into complex shapes. You could actually take a piece of sheet metal and bend it into like a box. So with the plasma cutter, I'll be able to cut out some very unique shapes and then fold them or bend them into a final product. So let me just go ahead and see if we can find something. We'll cut something out and I'll show you. So the plasma table only holds about a 4 foot by 3 foot piece, but I got a full sheet on here. I just got it supported out here on the end. This should work. So I could design something on the laptop to cut out here, or you can just find projects on Etsy that somebody else has already designed. So I downloaded a shelf, cost me like $3 or $4 for the design. We're gonna cut that shelf out and then we're gonna bend it on the brake. For some reason, the CNC controller disconnected from the laptop right before it finished, so I had to end up cutting this out a second time. So right here is a 24-inch shelf. At least this is the way it looks before we bend it. I'm gonna go ahead and get this all cleaned up with an angle grinder, and then we'll get it in the brake. We're gonna have to bend this 3, 4, 5 times maybe before it actually looks like a shelf. Now to bend this, I think we're gonna have to do it in a certain order. So we're gonna bend these small tabs up here first. So just lower these handles. All right, I think I got it where I want it, so now I'll lock these handles down. Let's go ahead and bend this. We got an indicator right here. Take it to 90. Actually, probably gotta take it a little past 90 because it'll bend back a little bit. All right, there we go. Hopefully you can see that. We bent these 90 degrees here on the back. And I think the next thing to do is this triangular piece right here, we gotta fold it over. So to do this next bend, I'm gonna go ahead and remove one of these fingers. You just have to like loosen these and then it slides out. It just kind of clamps in there. And then we're gonna line this up. Hopefully you can see why we remove this. As we bend this up, this other flange right here is going to bend into this area that we removed. So here we go. That looks pretty good. think I'm going to remove this whole die here on the end and take the whole thing out. And then I can loosen these up and I can actually slide them down. So now I removed one die from here and then I spaced these all out so it's almost the exact length of the bend I need. All right, we got our shelf made. So first project on the bending brake. It was a good learning experience. I thought it turned out pretty good. So we've got a metal lip here on the front. It's bent up to help keep stuff from rolling off the shelf. And then on the back, of course, it's bent around with a couple screw holes. So this can attach to the wall on both ends. And being made out of 14 gauge steel, this will probably hold a pretty decent amount of weight on there. So I just need to, get this all wiped down and then we can get it painted. Well, it's the next day now, and it is raining again. I think this is the fourth, rainy, dreary day in a row. So I'm gonna go back in the shop and work again today. Get that, that shelf we made yesterday, we'll get that all painted up. And then I'd like to fabricate some tool organization so I can take some oddball tools that don't have a home, see if I can get those hung up and organized. I think that'll be a nice little project to do today. So before I bent this, I did go over, with an angle grinder, get rid of all the burrs, but then I went over it with a surface conditioner, tried to smooth out everything, make sure there's no sharp edges, everything felt smooth to the touch. And yeah, this is looking good. I think once this paint dries, this is gonna look really nice. So next thing I wanna make is something to hold all of my air tools. I've got the compressor over there with the hose reel, but then all my tools are just sitting on the floor, just kind of scattered around. And what I'm thinking is, each one of these air tools has the little chuck on the end, and if I can make something that will hold this, where this slides into it and it hangs, then I can hang up all of these air tools. They'll have somewhere up off the ground. So you can see how this fitting is notched right here. So I think if we get a measurement of right there, and then we make some slots a little bit bigger than that, we'll be able to slide these on. All right, there's our cutout. We just got to get this cleaned up and bent. All right, I got it all cleaned up now. I've got a total of 7 slots in here to hang 7 air tools. I also added a couple extra holes. So I've got a hole right here, it's a little bigger, and it's gonna hold this little valve removal tool. And then I've got another hole right here, and this is gonna check the pressure gauge that you check your tires with. It will fit in there. It's a little tight. May have to run a drill bit through it. Check this one. Same here, a little bit tighter than what I hoped for. So I'll run a drill bit through both of those, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get this bent. And this 90. So now I'm just gonna bend the front of this up just about 45 degrees. That way they don't just slide out of here. Right there, about 45 degrees. Boy, looks good. All right, I've got my air tools hanging from the holder. You can put my tire pressure gauge in here, put my valve tool in here as well, and then the tools just slide right in and out of the slots, and they don't fall out. So I think it's gonna work. I just need to get it all painted up. It's already got holes, 2 holes on each side. 16 inches apart, so it'll mount right to the studs in the wall. So get this cleaned up, we'll get it painted too. So the next thing I want to do is make something to hold my grease guns. I don't really have a home for them. They just sit over here on the vise stand, and a lot of times they get knocked off on the floor. They're usually fairly greasy. You don't want to just lay them down anywhere. So I want to make something where I can hold these and hang them on the wall somewhere. So I've designed something up in the software. We're going to cut it out in the plasma cutter, and hopefully this works. So when you bend something like this that has multiple bends, you really have to think about which bends to do in what order. You don't want one bend to get in the way of the other. And I've come up with a sequence. Hopefully this works. Start at the bottom. Bend this one 90. Now I'm going to bend these tabs. Oh, that's what I was afraid of. This is going to get in the way. I got to move a die. Take this one die out. All right, I've got my first 3 bends. I've got this bottom part here. I've got a tab on this side and a tab on this side. Now, what I want to do is I want to bend from the bottom of this tab over to the bottom of this one. So this is going to be tricky. We got a lot of things sticking out. So as I take this piece and slide it in here, it looks like if I remove this die, I will be able to slide this in. So now we'll get this up to our bend line. Here we go. Now I got another bend right here at the top part of these tabs. All right, got the bottom part. I got one more bend here at the top. After all this, I hope it works. Well, not bad. I think I'll take it. All right. It's got 4 holes in the top. And then, of course, down here in the bottom, it's going to be hard to see. You got those half circle notches to help hold everything in. Plus, we got some tabs on the side to help hold everything in. All right, so the idea is you could put your grease guns in here, or you could put tubes of grease. So the tube of grease would go in right here. The little half moon shapes help kind of lock it in place. And then of course you could take your grease gun and you can put that in there and store it as well. So you could do something like this. You could have like a couple grease guns, a couple extra grease tubes. You might be able to fit 4 grease guns in here if you can get them beside each other. But that is version 1.0. I can already tell that I could do some improvements to it. I forgot to make holes in it to mount it to the wall, so we'll have to drill some holes in it. But I think it's going to work. So let's go ahead, get it cleaned up and painted. Well, you can really hear the rain now. It's coming down pretty good. Well, it's 3 in the afternoon now. It's still raining. Hasn't stopped. But still got to go milk Ellie. Can't get out of that. So we got a little update to give you on Ellie. So we did, when it came to the day where we were going to start keeping her milk, we tested her for mastitis again. We were still getting more of a positive test, and we sent that test result to the vet, and we talked to the vet, and she decided that we should treat Ellie again and use a faster acting antibiotics, basically. So we gave her another full treatment the other day, and we still have to wait another 4 or 5 days before we can keep the milk. Hopefully this last treatment that we just gave her hopefully takes care of it.
Eddie's getting all wet out there.
Well, the sun is finally out this morning. I think like the first time in 5 days. So I do need to get out there. I think the cattle have about ate all their hay. Need to get them fed a bale. I may actually try to start feeding silage. So we may grab a silage bale. To do that, I'll have to use the big tractor. And then in the white barn where we milk Ellie, it's starting to get muddy in some spots. So I may put a little bit more gravel in there, try to help that out a little bit. This here's a silage bale from last year. I have like 7 or so left over. So, oh yeah, still smells fermented like normal, doesn't smell off. So I think it's still good. The cattle just absolutely love this haylage. It's fermented sorghum Sudan grass is what it is, but they just love it. So I'm gonna get it all unwrapped, get all the strings off of it now, because as soon as they figure out what I'm feeding them, they are going to rush this bale, and I won't be able to get around it. And all the cattle are at the other end, so it makes more sense for me to try to sneak in on this side. They won't realize what I'm doing until it's in the feeder, basically. Oh, and there's my trouble right there. Ellie's gonna find it first. Well, this didn't work out well because Ellie's getting the bale, and then everybody else is now noticing what I'm doing. They're coming down here. You can smell that very well, so I'm sure they're picking up the scent, and now I've got all their attention. Come on, Ellie. Can I get you to come with me? Ellie! Come on, Ellie! Come on, Ellie! No, 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 no. No. Come on, darling. Come on. You go in somewhere, I'll shut a gate. Get in there. With your mama. There you go. Good. All right. But I finally got Ellie and Teddy pinned back there. Hard to get her away from that bale. They really like this stuff. Of course, we've got the rest of the cattle up here waiting. Now see if we can. They're gonna follow this tractor. They're gonna make this tough. Oh, they're all interested in it. So they knew the smell. Come on, everybody, move out of the way. Move it, Oliver. Come on, move, 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 move. All right. Well, surprisingly, the cattle did not follow me. They're actually more interested in the protein tub that was back there. Move, cow! Well, you're coming pretty quick. Yeah, they're definitely interested in the protein tub that I have in there for Ellie, so I may grab one of them, set it out so that they have their own protein tub as well. Then after that, I may grab the mini skid, bring a few small buckets of gravel, and fill in where the mud is in the barn. I threw Ellie a little bit of haylage down here for her to eat, and then there's some out in her hay feeder. But like right here, this is a low point, and with all the rain that we've got, hopefully you can see it. This is all kind of muddy. There's standing water right there. So I just want to get a little bit more gravel in this area. That way I'm not tracking mud every day. So right here's the 3 things that we made the other day, and all the paint should be dry. So I think we can go ahead and hang these up. So let's start with the air tools first. So right here next to the air compressor, I made it so it will fit right here on these 2 studs. So just need to get a couple screws and get it mounted. Also got this die grinder as well. Go ahead and put that up here. And there we go. All of the tools right by the compressor, not on the ground anymore. That's good. All right, next thing to install is going to be the grease gun holder. I think it turned out fairly well. I actually think I got paint all the way back inside of here. It was a little hard, but I think it looks like it's all coated black. So I had a hard time coming up where I was going to put this. And I think where I've decided is actually a pretty good place. A little bit outside the box, maybe. I guess I should say outside the toolbox, because I want to mount it right here on the side. I think it'll come in fairly handy. Be down here, out of the way. I can just reach down, pull out the grease guns, and you can see right here on the side of the drawer, we got about 1.5 inches of space here that's unused. So I can put screws through this on the side. It's not going to interfere with the drawers. Three grease guns and a spare grease tube. Well, in hindsight, it probably would have been better if I would have lowered it maybe a couple more inches, just because this one grease gun is touching right up here next to the power strip. But the rest of these I think fit in there perfectly fine. I'm going to change this one out so it's got a rubber hose on it just like those, and then it won't be an issue. So the last thing we have to do is this shelf, and I think it's like 24 inches wide. I wish I was thinking ahead. It's just not quite the right size for where I want to put it. So on this tool wall right here, it's got 4 panels. Each are 16 inches wide. If I would have made this 32 inches wide, it would have gone all the way across halfway, and then I could have made another one and have a shelf go all the way across. But being 24 inches wide, it's only going to go about to the paper towel, which I don't think that's going to look bad. So we'll just mount it up here, and then I'll have a shelf above. Later on, I can come back and I can make some more shelves and fill it in the rest of the way. I think it makes sense to take our spare rubber gloves, store them right up here above the holder, and we can store our spare paper towels up here too. Well, I don't think that looks bad. It'd look better if we had shelves going all the way across. We can remedy that pretty easy. So everything we made today was out of 14 gauge steel. That's what this sheet is here. But then I have 2 more full sheets of 12 gauge steel here. There's 2 of them. And I've got those already bought for a couple future projects. So we are going to use the sheet metal brake to help make some feed troughs for the sheep. We may end up making another feed trough for the cattle. Previously, I would cut with a plasma cutter. I would cut a line in there, and I would leave like 1 inch wide little spots where it was still connected. That way I could bend it somewhat easily without a sheet metal brake. And then I would have to go back and weld that entire seam and close it back up. Now with this sheet metal brake, I can now bend 4 feet at a time. It's going to save me probably a bunch of welding and make the projects go a lot quicker. Another project I want to make is a feed storage bin. Think of like a gravity wagon, but in a smaller, like a 4 foot square shape that maybe can store, I don't know, 500,000 pounds worth of feed in it. Have a nice little gate that can open up so you could fill up your feed buckets. And I want to make it so it's completely contained, where you can basically close it where no bugs and stuff will get into the feed. So during this winter, when it gets really cold and muddy outside, I will be spending more time here in the shop doing fabrication work. So you'll see those projects being built, plus I have a few other things planned as well. But as far as today is concerned, it's actually a fairly nice day outside. This would be a good day to get more stuff done outside. But we've been doing something a little different here over the last couple months. I know some people have complained, said I didn't post as many videos, and that's because we have been taking one day off a week. The problem with being kind of self-employed and living where you live, or working where you live, is that you never escape your job. So I get somewhat bored easily, and if I'm just sitting around, I can't watch TV very long, I'll just come back out here and work. So then I ended up working like 7 days a week. I'd either edit or I'd be out here filming, and we never really took any time for ourselves. So we have dedicated one day a week for me and Rebecca to spend together or to spend with family, and today is that day. So I need to go ahead. I mean, I think it's already after 10 o'clock, so we're getting kind of a late start, but I need to go inside, take a shower, and then spend the rest of the day with my wife. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.